I just moved this away a little bit.
Loud now.
All right.
Please rise for the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Board Member Drake. Here. Board Member Nysel.
Present.
Board Member Steen.
Here.
Board Member Van Blarkum.
Here.
Supervisor DeSclafani.
Here. Make a motion, anybody make a motion, approve last month's minutes?
I'll make a motion. Second?
All in favor? Aye. Happy February. Two events last month might bring us a little extra funding, both from New York Smart Growth Grant. First, with great help from Barb Mansfield and Robert Drake to build and rebuild and improve Glenbrook Park Pavilion. Second, a grant from the Smart Growth Grant for $125,000 was submitted by a planning consultant called Pattern for Progress. They're both for $125,000 each, and we'll hear in April whether we're successful or not. Tonight we'll also tighten up some of our STR code. We're waiting on legal opinion on a moratorium to pause taking any new licenses. This will require a new law, while temporary will still require a public hearing, which means that we have to have a resolution, and we'll try and do that at our next special meeting and then get a public hearing set up for before March's meeting. I think I have, supervisor's report. Police fees, $60. Dog license fees, $27. Planning fees, $1,325. Ambulance fees, $19,679.29. From ORDA, $3,000. From zoning, $500. Building fees, $4,345. SBA, $1,591.90. Time Warner franchise fee, $17,155.24. Highway revenues, $1,190,278.50. Medical Arts Building, $1,400. Reimbursement for administration, $7,227.40. Vital Statistics, $61.50. Reimbursement for healthcare, $195.10. Reimbursement from AWSMP, $11,988.87. Justice fees, $4,695. Tax warrant, $500,000. Pine Hill unpaid water rents, $14,374.96. Pine Hill water tax, $57,551. Phoenicia unpaid water rents, $14,648.25. Phoenicia water tax warrant, $82,423. Tax warrant for the fire districts, $507,021. Sale of vehicles, $5,969.70. Tibet House in lieu of taxes, $500. STR receivables, $25,258.53, for a total of $2,471,285.24. Communications, Joyce.
Yes, so we have some really cool events coming up besides our normal things at both libraries, community center, and then you have the Phoenicia Farmers Market on Sunday from 10 to 2 at the community center. What? 11 to 2. What did I say, 10? You should be there at 10. Oh, okay, that's where I got it from. Okay, so Wednesday, February 7th, and Saturday, February 17th, the Wellness RX Pharmacy in Phoenicia has a presentation, Nutrition for Preventing and Reversing Cognitive Decline. So these are 2 free programs, and you can call the library. You can sign up online, of course, but you can call them at 688-0188. On Thursday, February 8th, the Pine Hill Community Center will have a movie by the Ashokan Watershed at 5:30 to 7. Explaining the Upper Sopus Creek. And Coffee with a Cop is at the Phoenicia Library, Saturday, February 10th, from 11 to 12:30. The Phoenicia Playhouse has open auditions for the performance of Wait Until Dark on Saturday, February 10th at 2 p.m. Tuesday, February 13th is Shrove Tuesday. It's a pancake supper at 5 p.m. at the Phoenicia United Methodist Church. Parish Hall, February 24th, there's a free movie at 1:45 called The Hiding Place. Free computer fixer will be at the Phoenicia Library on Saturday, February 24th. No appointment needed, from 10 to 1, first come, first serve. And lastly, the Pine Hill Community Center has music by Pablo Shrine Latin Jazz Band, Saturday, February 24th, 7 to 9 p.m. So you can check everything out on our Facebook page or our website, shandaken.us. And if you want to pay your Pine Hill water bills, you can pay them online since last year at shandakenpayments.com. And you can pay there with an e-check, which is only $1.50, or with a credit or debit card.
Thanks, Joyce. Committee reports. Ambulance.
Good evening. January 2024 report for the town of Shandaken Ambulance. Total calls received was 46, very busy. Mutual aid was given once and also received by the Olive First Aid Unit. Total January reports that were produced, 48 reports. Total transports, 36. Total no transports, standbys, or relocations were 12. The bitter cold months of winter are upon us, and despite the somewhat mild respite from the norm that we have had for the past few days, it seems everyone is trying to warm up no matter where you go. With this, we habitually see a surge in the number of carbon monoxide alarm calls, chimney fires, and structure fire calls, particularly in the months of January and February. At the sake of sounding like a broken record, which I do all the time, please do the following to safeguard yourselves and your families during the peak heating season, as these are just a few of the issues that we encounter the most. Ensure that you have multiple working smoke and carbon dioxide detectors and test them regularly. Have heating appliances and chimneys properly serviced and cleaned at prescribed intervals. When disposing of wood-burning stove debris, please dispose of it away from the house or combustibles, not on your back porch that's made of wood.
Not as funny as it sounds.
It's not as funny as it sounds, but it happens an awful lot up here. Give space heaters space. Do not utilize space heaters near combustibles. Keep children and pets away from heating appliance. Quote our great friends up at Peekamoose, flaming logs are not suitable babysitters. As household fires, carbon monoxide poisoning, and burns are rare events, they pose a huge risk this time of year and have long-lasting effect on everyone involved. Please be safe and enjoy the rest of the few cold months remaining.
Thank you, Chief. Building zoning.
January monthly activity report. Building department issued 13 building permits, 4 certificates of occupancy, 13 certificates of compliance, 0 stop work orders, and 3 floodplain permits, and denied 1 floodplain permit.
Thank you. Chad?
189 calls for service this month, a little bit busy, just like Rick said, and we can attribute that to maybe Bel Air, which should spark a conversation maybe going forward with the mountain management up there. And Joyce stole my thunder with Buffalo Cops on Saturday, came out to the Beach Library, and some results.
Thanks. Anybody have Phoenicia Water, Pine Hill Water? Museum, Joe?
Hi, good evening. The museum is open 3 days a week, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. On January 9th, the museum board held a volunteer day where members came in on a weekday to work on completing museum projects. Later in the month, new board member Andrea Singer led a staff discussion on museum priorities where the museum staff discussed and decided on specific action items and goals to improve the museum and promote its image and presence in the community. Among the objectives discussed are areas of action were agreed to: museum marketing, improved presence on social media, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, the museum website, and in print to promote events and image recognition. Improved website functionality, fundraising and grant writing, reorganization of the office, documentation of the museum inventory, holding more museum events, coordination with the other Shandaken events, creating a new brochure, recruiting volunteers, rethinking, upgrading, and improving entire display area, redefining job descriptions, and implementing improvements in the building overall. On January 12th, the museum hosted a drum circle event led by noted author Evan Pritchard, along with a group of members of the Big Indian Native American Cultural Center who joined in the festive drumming and singing. It was attended by over 20 visitors. On March 23rd, the museum will continue its lecture series with a presentation by Glenn Kreisberg, author, outdoor guide, and radio engineer who researches archaeoastronomy and landscape archaeology in the Hudson Valley and Catskill Mountains. The museum's media center continues to provide rich experience for the visitors. The museum is starting to digitally transfer old films donated by local families that can be presented in the media center. There have been a number of improvements to the museum, including a new security system, a new dehumidifier, and an updated computer. The museum is currently working with the Phoenicia Business Association to provide old Shandaken images for their website. There were 41 visitors to the museum in January from as far away as the West Coast and Canada. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Sam?
We met on Friday, January 26th at 6:30 at Town Hall. We talked about the skate park project. Carrie and Edric met with Mario Madera at Greater Goods and Fleischman's. Mario has a lot of connections in the skateboard industry that can help this project. We still need a location.
You gave us a lot of stuff, I should say.
He gave you a lot of stuff?
For the auctions.
Good, that's great. So there will be a fundraiser event coming soon. If you'd like to be involved, contact Carrie or Edric, and like their pages on Facebook and Instagram, Shandaken Skate Park. We submitted 2 grant applications in the last month, the DEC Smart Growth Grant with a request of $125,000 and a T-Mobile matching grant of $50,000. Thank you to Babs, Kevin, and Robert for helping get the applications completed and submitted. We're also still hoping that we can use some of the ARPA funds, and that they'll be allocated for our project. There's also a Lowe's grant that we need to be nominated for in order to apply. Information on how to nominate us has been posted thanks to Joyce today. There's also a paper copy of like some of the information that you'll need to complete as far as the project itself. So if you want a handout there, otherwise it's posted on Facebook. Our Trex Bench plastic collection, we're still hoping to collect plastic for the school. We have the Trex Bench that we, collected plastic for over the summer, and we'd like to put that in the dog park at Glenbrook and dedicate it to, in memory of Kathleen Meyer. Parks land use agreement, so Big Indian is owned by the DOT and Parish Field is owned by the Archdiocese, and Babs was finally able to make a good connection with Courtney McMahon at the Archdiocese and expressed the urgency of putting together a short-term lease agreement for use of the Parish Field for now, with the understanding that we would like to possibly team up with the New York New Jersey Trail Conference if the subdivision and sale of that property happens in the future. Courtney understood our urgency and our request and will be helping us get the conversation going on this lease agreement. We are currently not able to issue any permits for use of this park. It's concerning given that the farmers market sets up there in the spring, Easter event, 4th of July post parade events, turkey trot, other community events. They all take place in this park. Kevin's been corresponding with the DOT for Big Indian, but there's likely Park in Mount Tremper. Next committee meetings to be determined, and anything we add to this park would need to be located closer to Route 28 or the wooded areas of this property. The open land closest to the Esopus was completely flooded in December, so this should only be used as a picnic area. And our next committee meeting is to be determined.
Thanks, Sam. Sophie?
Hi. So for the Housing Smart Committee, some upcoming things. Our March 25th meeting will be all about ADUs, which are accessory dwelling units, also known as granny apartments, mother-in-law apartments. It could be a separate structure, it could be the same structure as your primary house. And we're gonna have a presentation by the county, and I think there'll also be an architect there to talk about design options and ideas. So come out if that's something that you're interested in. It could be a great way for us to increase housing. In April, we'll be hosting an off-site, a meetup around workforce housing. So we're inviting people who own businesses, who have employees, who are seeing the effects of having a housing shortage here directly on their business, what ideas they're already implementing, or what are some collaborations that we can help create by just bringing people together and having conversation. So that date and time will be announced soon. This week we're contributing our recommendations for edits to, or updates to the comp plan to that committee for them to review at their meeting. Is that this coming, next Monday, a week from today? We were given a section to review that was all about housing. So basically we, as a group, the housing committee have made some edits on a Google Doc that we're gonna share with the comp plan for this quick and dirty version that is being worked on. So hopefully that helps that process. And I also wrote a letter of support for the Smart Growth Grant for the Patterns for Progress to help do a full comprehensive update. So hopefully that goes through. This month we're talking more about STRs and the STR law and those, you know, possible revisions and recommendations. So that will still happen at our February meeting. Our ongoing priority, but something we're gonna work with the county on, is a housing sites inventory. So they'll assist us. We won't have to hire a consultant necessarily, but to do an inventory of what properties we currently have that could be redeveloped or rehabilitated, or what are some potential areas of gentle density that we could implement to get more housing. And yeah, I'm hoping to attract somebody to our committee who has an interest in helping kickstart a home share Shandaken program. So if you're familiar, Woodstock has home share Woodstock. It's essentially like a pairing matchmaking service, if you will, for people that have rentable space in their home or on their property. Oftentimes this might be someone who's a little bit older, could offset the rent with assistance shoveling the walk, or, you know, helping with chores around the property, and often it's just a good way to maximize. There's some places where people have a really big house and they have some rooms that they're not using, or they have a cottage in the back. So this could be something that we develop here. The Woodstock program is not going to extend throughout the entire town of Shandaken, even though Phoenicia is kind of on their outer radius. So it's something that could be a really successful thing for us as well. And this would be, we'd get a lot of advice and guidance from the Home Share Woodstock program. They've offered to like give a presentation to go into more detail of how they operate. It is, you know, it has a lot of volunteer needs. There's a review process. It's not just like flinging people into one another's homes, but there's interviewing and there's a lot of thought and care that goes into a process like that. So if that sounds like something anybody is interested in helping with, just it could start as part of our existing committee, and maybe it could be folded into some other organization down the road to have proper funding or, support. But that's something that we'd like to see happen, and we want to help make that happen. And, yeah, huh? And if you have questions, thoughts, or ideas for housing, please email shandakenhousing@gmail.com or come to our meeting on the 4th Mondays of the month at 7 o'clock.
Sophie.
Ooh, a note.
A note. Secret
Thanks,
note.
Sophie. Beth?
Hello,
You want that
Beth
one?
Waterman,
You're good.
Conservation Advisory Council. For those of you who missed the meeting on January 29th, Bruce Berry, thank you. Our member Bruce Berry gave a presentation on EV charging to the town board and presented them with several options to look into. Also at that meeting, we announced, the compost program is in effect and in operation. We've had 2 pickups. The second pickup was 40 gallons. That was double the first pickup, so it's growing. It's really wonderful. I'm so pleased about that. The Conservation Advisory Council is planning an Earth Day celebration for Sunday, the 21st of April. We're hoping to do a series of events, some at the Farmers Market, which will be in Pine Hill on that day. And then later in Phoenicia, we're going to show films at the Playhouse related to climate. And we're hoping to collaborate and coordinate with other local organizations like Parks and Rec or the museum or other people who want to participate in the Earth Day celebration, and will help publicize all the events. So if there are any cleanups or other kinds of activities, we'd like to help coordinate that. So NYSERDA is New York State Energy Resource and Development Authority. And NYSERDA has a parallel program to the Climate Smart Communities program, which we, affected last year when we achieved the bronze status in that program. So now we are focusing on NYSERDA's program, which is parallel and somewhat duplicative, as only the state of New York can do. So
And that's more the climate smart end of it, right?
it's the Climate Smart Task Force. And
Right.
Because the Conservation Advisory Council and the Climate Smart Task Force are the same organization. So it's called Clean Energy Communities. And if you do 4 high-impact actions, they give you a reward. So it turns out that we have done 4 high-impact actions. Some of them we did for the previous, DEC's program, Climate Smart Communities, but they qualify for the Clean Energy Communities, so they're going to give us $10,000.
Wow.
We'll believe it when we see it. But that's really good news. Now, NYSERDA has money, and they have initiated a program called Community Campaigns. And we have signed up for 3 community campaigns. One is clean heating and cooling, one is EV vehicles, and one is community solar. So if residents of Shandaken participate in these campaigns, NYSERDA will give us more money. But that's really nice, but what we're really trying to do is to encourage the adoption of new technologies that will help reduce greenhouse gases. So right now, we are about ready to go live on the web page with community solar. And this gives us a chance as residents to purchase community solar from a solar farm. Instead of putting solar arrays on our houses, we can, without installing the panels, purchase clean energy. And they say that it's a 5 to 10% savings. So it's still from NYSEG, you still get your bill from NYSEG, it's just that you're buying community solar power from solar farms, and you get to choose which one you want to use. So the advantage to the town is that if we get a minimum of 5 people who are willing to purchase solar-powered energy for their residences, they will give us $5,000. And it's similar with the heat pumps and the EV EV vehicles, sorry. If you purchase an electric vehicle, we still have some work to do to get this on our website, but if you purchase an electric vehicle, and when we get 5 of those signups, we get another 5,000, and the same with the heat pumps. So this is something that we really need to publicize beyond the scope of this particular meeting, and we'll be working on that to let people know how they can go about improving their own, technologies in their homes and with their vehicles. So thank you.
Beth, I have a suggestion.
What?
So if you do a presentation at one of your meetings, you want to have a video or whatever, and we can cut that out, we can do a special YouTube presentation of all the things that we can offer and to get it out there, and then you can put it on social media, we'll have it on our YouTube channel, but we can make a separate video.
Yeah, I think that
So that'd be a
in
good way to
addition
go,
to that,
too.
we also probably need to do some one-on-ones in the libraries where people
Yeah,
can
give all
come
the
and.
info there. And this is
Yeah,
a note for
you
you
know.
also.
What?
This is a note for you also.
A note?
Yes, well, I need a copy. Sam gave me one. I want all the reports to have a copy so they can go in the minutes. In the future,
When I get home.
when you get home. That'd be
Or
fine.
you could have this.
Yeah, I know, I can't believe you fit all that on one page.
All right, thank you very much.
Thanks, Beth. Kevin, anything to report on the comp plan?
We've been moving along with our task of reading through the existing comp plan, making adjustments and suggestions. It seems like there's some movement on funding for a professional planner to come and help us, but as of right now, we're moving forward with our interim plan.
I got feedback.
Next meeting's on the 12th at 7 p.m. here.
Thanks, Kevin. All right. Comments? Public comments on resolutions, anyone? Mark?
Well, I'd like to address the board on behalf of the zoning board.
Whatever you like.
Okay, yeah, so my name is Mark Lodi. I'm the chairman of the Shandaken,
Just twist it up. Twist it up. There you go.
Shandaken Zoning Board. As you guys know, as you guys are well familiar, there was a state law that states that the zoning board members and planning board members are required to have 4 hours of training certification per year. And we recently received a FOIL request to verify how much training we have had. We've had 0 training the last 3, 4, 5 years, or last 10 years, really. So
The
those
COVID
records-
years, you're exempt.
Pardon me?
During the COVID years, they exempted the training.
Well, that's one question I was going to ask. So 2 things. And we have several members of the zoning board here. Hank Williams is here. Alan Vela is here. And everybody in the board welcomes the opportunity for more training. And especially the new members of the board, Christian Lynch, Alan Vela. So we're not objecting to 4 hours of training. But we want to figure out how to do that. So there are in-person training events in Albany, New York City. I don't think it's fair to ask people to drive there, possibly spend an overnight, spend gas, food, etc. There are also training opportunities on Zoom. I don't know if it's Zoom, but it's
Online,
Zoom.
right, the internet.
Online event.
Yep.
But you need to log on the date that happens so that the state can certify it. Now, all those training events are archived on YouTube, but we can't just go on and watch and then say to the state, hey, we watched 2 hours, please send certification. So there's no means of certification if we do follow that pursuit. So first of all, I'm asking the board that if we organize something like a watch party here at Town Hall with all the zoning board members who would come and we can have our laptops and access it. These are typically 2-hour training events, and they certify for 2 hours of planning certification.
Yep.
If we had a watch party like this, would the board be willing to grant our board members 2 hours of training certification?
Sure would.
I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, sounds great.
Could we get a resolution for that now?
We could make a motion.
Great, let's hear it.
I make a motion, we allow 2 hours of training for in-house training for the Planning Board and Zoning Board of Appeals to come in at a designated time and watch a 2-hour training video.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Are you gonna do that twice this year, so it's 4 hours of training?
We'll see what they come up with.
Or you can come up with some online
needed.
training.
It's 4 hours of training per year.
Yeah.
So that would allow us to have a convenient way to train these people up. We have the course of a year to get that 4 hours, so it'd have to be probably more than one event.
Right, like that event you went to at the Emerson last fall.
Yes.
We did that flood training.
Correct.
That counts towards training for anybody and
There are
everybody.
other events, like when I first started, I've been on the board for, I think, 12 years, 13
Yeah.
years.
Yep.
And my participation on the Safari Committee, for example,
Yep.
counted. So there are other means by which you can certify this. The next question is, this totally fell apart during COVID,
Yep.
as you know, so we got a pass for COVID. But this is going back, I know people in the planning board as well, we haven't had any of this training for 10 years. Have you ever had this
And the
training?
DOS used to do it, the DEC used to do it more often, and DEP, but
Well,
it's-
my question is, what does the board intend to do about those missing 10 years of lack of training?
we can't do anything. It's a per year thing.
Make up for it by being more on top of it going forward.
Yeah.
Do we need a resolution giving our board members a pass? I mean, is there a legal implication for the fact that we really haven't had this training? Does that negate any of the decisions that,
Yeah.
yeah, for,
And you just have to, each member has to certify and attest that they took that training. It's,
would you
there
say I took the training?
Yeah.
I mean, there's no verification that we
really
did.
isn't. There's nothing that's needed like I have my certification.
Okay. The state does give this certification, but not once it goes on to YouTube.
Right, right.
So,
We are in the process of reviewing what sort of things will be approved and what the process will be like. So it is something we are working on, and your idea tonight, I mean, obviously, it would definitely be added to that.
Yeah, that's a great
We're looking
idea.
to formalize the whole process. And I'll just say, as a former ZBA member, that at your suggestion, I went and found and watched several training videos.
Yeah.
In my first year on the ZBA, it's in no way documented or certified, but
right.
I
But
know
the-
others did that, but yeah, I think so
Yeah.
moving forward, in response to what you said, we just need to, as Kevin said, as Rob said, we just have to take the step to certify it internally ourselves, moving forward.
Okay, well, there's a wealth of material that we can access, and we are
Yeah.
happy to do that, maintain the, training momentum. So, did you guys have anything else to add?
Yeah, I have something. So I did speak to the Yale County Planning Board then as well about certifying the AAU presentation, because they sent us somebody to speak to the Housing Smart Committee on March 25th, which everyone is invited to. And
Yep.
first time. And they said they would certainly certify that as training.
Yeah.
And they would be happy to, if we should suggest a topic, they would be happy to send someone to do a training for us
Great.
from the Yale County.
Okay,
Perfect.
so maybe we get that organized as well.
Yeah,
And they also don't have a problem with having you just self-certify.
Right.
And, be specific about what training you did and when you did it.
right, right.
So we can self-certify.
As far as the Yale County Planning Board says, yes, that's the way they do it.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Well, I'm glad we got that clarified, because we want to be trained up, and we make sure everybody
Yeah,
understands.
yeah.
And it is a complex issue, and it is extremely important to the
Yeah.
furtherance of the town.
And it's a complex code book, so you want to be as aware as you can.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's not a simple issue. Okay, well, thank you.
Thanks. Andrew, We could have discussion, but there's generally the discussion during the public hearing.
That's
I mean,
purpose of the hearing.
Yeah, that's the purpose of the hearing.
My problem is that you usually have the public hearings on the Monday nights of the town board meetings, and it's difficult for me to attend. I have some comments, I can submit them in writing, but I'm thoroughly confused by the changes.
Well, I could clarify it. Basically, you get charged 4 times a year, or Pine Hill water users get charged 4 times a year for usage. There's a base fee of $50 every quarter, plus $5 per 1,000 gallons of water used. So instead of the 4 times a year, our superintendent, who's having more and more difficulty during the winter months when there's snow on the ground, a lot of the transponders aren't working, so we need to replace them. So it's not just a matter of walking by or driving by and getting the meter reading. He has to dig up the manhole cover and look in and find what the number is, the usage that you did at like 80 or 90 different locations that aren't working. So what we're suggesting is just like the same timeline as Phoenicia, which is March and September, a read, but instead of it being the $50 a quarter, it's $100 biannually. Still plus the $5 per 1,000 gallons. So it all works out to be the same amount. It's just a little bit more at each time.
I understand that. The problems that I'm having is that there is a penalty for late payments, and it means that those late payment penalties will only be assessed every 6 months. And there's no provision in the change of the law to notify or remind district members that they are in arrears. So they don't know until 6 months later when they get their next bill that they forgot to pay the bill.
Oh, that doesn't come out like I thought by the month after they send that out, but we could change that so that,
They don't send a reminder, is what he's saying.
they don't send a
No,
reminder, but I thought
usually they're due by like this time, they're due the 15th at no interest. Then they could be paid till the end of the month.
right.
And, so they, it's pretty
So
simple.
somebody could have a 10% assessment and not really realize it until 6 months later when they're gonna get reassessed. I just wanted
Oh, is there
to
interest?
throw
Yeah.
that out because it might need some thought.
I've
And
never
the other
had-
thing is that
Anybody complain about that? They usually knew to pay it that month, you get the bill in the mail, and now they can pay it online too, which is good.
and then if you don't pay the assessment, it goes on to your tax bill.
In the last bill, right, in the last one.
In the second paragraph, it says, "The district will include all charges for repairs and other services rendered pursuant to the rule, blah, blah, blah. As its discretion, the Pine Hill Water District may also include such charges in the quarterly billings." But you're eliminating
Oh, I missed,
quarterly billings.
yeah, I forgot to change that to biannually.
Changing the rate, you change that as well.
I'm sorry?
You're going from 50 to $100.
Right. To biannually, right, which I stated in the, right, okay.
That's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Biannually.
Semi-annual.
Semi-annually or biannually?
Well, I have it semi-annual in the first part of that 8.4, so we'll keep it semi-annual.
This is semi every other year?
Basis. Any other comments? Yes, Rob?
Resolution 51. We have a resolution for the retirement system. Being that I ran the retirement system when I was here, the calendars aren't supposed to be submitted until after the first 3 months of the year after the election. So you're supposed to do your calendar from January, February, and March. How do you have the time accruals when you haven't completed the first 3 months of the period? It's every 2 years.
Amy told us that they wanted it, that it expired, and we didn't have to do the calendars, but she submitted the hours. That's how Amy said it was done. She
Compared to
talked
from
them.
last year, because it's all the same.
You submitted the calendars last year, not the year before?
No, the year
These
before.
numbers
Year-
are from 2 years
the
ago.
year
From 2
prior.
years ago. So you just resubmitted the numbers?
Right,
Yeah.
because it
Well,
expired.
I know you can do that, but I stuck to my guns and I made everybody do it, even myself, every 2 years, only because it's a good way to check the salaried employees and see what kind of time your board is putting in. So I'd suggest you rethink that and get a calendar, because I'd love to see. I'd love to see the time you guys are committing. So, thank you.
According to Amy, who does the retirement, we're only required to do it every 4 years, and nobody's changed hands. It's up to you guys. Do you want to?
Doesn't impact me personally.
No, it doesn't.
I mean, we haven't been keeping calendars, so now it's like retroactively going back, so.
No,
We'll do it
no,
every
with the
2 years.
calendars need to be done every 4 years, not every 2 years. That's the requirement from.
Yeah, I trust Amy. I mean, I always thought it was every 2 years, but that's just how we did it, like Rob said, so.
I thought it was every 2 years also, but Amy talked to people at retirement, and they said, oh, it's only 4 years, but you need to just submit this
Yeah.
every 2 years.
Okay.
Can I just like further explain? It's just because it's a change in administration every 2 years, so having that cycle continue every time, no matter who's in, helps keep that established. Because once you start just talking copying, that's how we lost the retirement system following in the first place. Because we stopped doing it, and then we had to play catch up to the one that was.
I'm sorry?
So you'd like to table it for next month?
We'll table it,
Yeah.
sure.
Right.
Any other comments?
Another quick question, if I may, to follow up on the certification. If we do self-certify, to how and to whom do we self-certify?
The clerk.
I get but according to that law, that one resolution I dug up from the state, they're supposed to be filed with me. There's never been any filed in my office in all time.
You
So,
would
and-
attest,
yeah.
attest or
You
self-certify
give
that
it
you
to Olivia, and
did.
she's supposed to give it to me.
Okay.
That's the best way to do it.
So would you
And there's nothing
consider it-
upstairs either.
Our participation, for example, in the Conservation Advisory Committee, would that be certifiable time spent?
It's,
I mean, it would depend on the subject, this is the kind of thing we're still reviewing.
Okay.
Well,
you can certify what you feel is valid as training.
Wow, who knew?
Well, and our expectation is that we're gonna clarify
Yeah.
our expectations
I
on
think
that.
we would appreciate some clarification.
Yeah, I
from you
mean,
guys.
I think it needs to perhaps be a little more targeted than simply attendance at a CAC meeting. If the CAC is having a discussion that is particularly germane to planning or zoning, then I would expect that would, but I don't think merely attendance at a CAC meeting would count. I think it needs to be a bit more targeted to the.
So fly fishing doesn't count?
fly fishing counts for everything, Mark. We all know
Could be a
that.
special use, I suppose.
Thank you for that clarification.
Just one more question, and it pertains to the certification of the planning board and zoning board. To be perfectly clear, that means that this board has certified us this particular year from last year, and that all new members that were reappointed are certified by this board from last year to this year?
Validated?
Validated? Well, then, if that's.
Do you-
Let me just keep going. If that is the case, then we're not certified. The board has an out in the state law that says that you can do a resolution, put together a resolution in the best interest of the community to waive the training for last year, and that would make us qualify for this year,
For the last 10 years.
for the last 10 years.
Okay.
No, that's.
Well, we'll take that. It is correct. It is correct.
Just now, we'll be training because we're a rural community.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And everything else that
Yeah.
transpired. And if we do a resolution, we'll protect that.
Yeah. Vivian.
With the Ulster County Planning Board, you know, they do have a minimum number of credits, but they carry over any additional credits to the next year with no expiration date. So if you get, you know, 8 credits in 1 year, you carry over 4, and then if you get 4 more, you carry over another 4. It just keeps going so that they encourage you to get more than your minimum.
Right, right.
So I suggest you put that in also. You're going to put it in writing.
Do you want to make a motion, we certify the planning board and zoning board?
What do we,
Or do you want to talk?
I think, like I said, there's a lot to put together. in
We're
this
talking
one.
about a previous years, that they're not going to be training for it.
Oh, the previous
For
year.
the previous years.
I still think that may be best done as a resolution, and if we're gonna have a meeting in a week anyway.
Okay, yeah, we'll do it in a week.
That might be.
And speaking of a week, we have to open up RFPs for a Pine Hill Community HRC renewal. I'll make a motion that we have a meeting on Monday, the 12th in the afternoon, like 1. Anybody can do that?
I will be unable to attend.
Is that for everything, or are we gonna do another meeting?
We're back to the.
We'll call it a special meeting just in case something comes up. Jan?
The review committee is meeting on the 12th in the afternoon, so we won't have a recommendation to you until.
So not the 12th, and I can't do the 13th, you can't do the 14th?
Correct. I could do late on the 15th or anytime the 16th, if either of those might be.
How
I can do
late
any
is
day
late?
as long as it's evening.
15th is good for me.
How late?
We could do it later on the 12th, I think, let me just check the time I'm meeting.
Well, we have the comp plan here on the 12th at 7 o'clock, so if we had it at
I mean, we could, well, what time will you be done on Monday?
I think we'll be done by 3 o'clock.
You'll be done at 3 o'clock? Okay. Could we do 3:30 here?
What's the earliest that Kevin will be available?
6 o'clock.
I can do 6 on the 12th or the 15th.
Are you free on
It would, the 12th is gonna be tough. 15th is definitely better.
15th at 3 o'clock?
No.
I-
And you guys are, go ahead and meet without me, that's fine, but I'm not gonna be here at 3
I know
o'clock
it.
any day.
I know, I get that.
Can you
But
make it at 2?
I could do 6 on the
Since we
15th.
close at 3, yeah. Can we
Yeah,
make it at
6 I'm open
Oh, right.
on
you're-
Thursday
yeah.
and Friday, so I'm not unavailable. But you guys could do it.
Can we do, well, the meeting, the comp meeting is at 7 on the 12th. Can we do 6 on the 12th? Oh, that was hard for,
No, 6 on the 12th is okay.
okay.
Just in the middle of the day would be
Okay.
tough.
6 on the 12th?
6 on the 12th?
Okay.
And what's this meeting for?
We don't remember.
We have RFPs coming in for home
For what?
community renewal for Pine Hill, for architects who are going to be giving us bids to do a
And can one of you be
Street
the,
plan.
can one of you be the secretary, because I won't be able to make it?
Yes.
One of us will manage.
Okay.
One of us
All
will
right.
record it.
You'll manage without me?
We will do our best.
All right.
I
And
don't
what
know
time?
if I feel comfortable with that,
6 p.m.?
6 PM, I made the motion.
Second.
All in
February?
favor?
February, what date?
12.
12, 2/12,
6 p.m.
6 PM.
All right.
Did we want to do another motion?
What are you gonna do in the resolution?
I think we discussed having a resolution for the planning and zoning board at that same meeting.
Yeah, okay. We need to make a motion to go into executive session. There's a payroll issue we need to talk about with ambulance.
Do you wanna do it after resolutions, or you wanna do it now?
We could do it after resolution.
Doesn't matter to me.
Okay, never, I'll hold that off. Okay, do we want to do resolutions? Are we ready for resolutions?
Second that motion?
Resolution 4424, resolution to pay all bills. Whereas the Department of Audit and Control require town boards to sign and inspect all vouchers coming to the town for payment to number and total amounts from each fund, therefore be it resolved that the town board authorize the following vouchers paid. General, $561,129.93. Highway, $337,664.71. Phoenicia Water, $15,790.52. Pine Hill Water, $3,345.91. Phoenicia Lights, Chichester Lights, and Pine Hill Lights do not have numbers. Shandaken Septic, $2,877.50 for a total of $920,808.57, and move its adoption.
Second.
Board Member Drake?
Yes.
Board Member Nysel?
Yes.
Board Member Steen?
Yes.
Board Member Van Barcom?
Yes.
Supervisor DeScalani?
Yes.
Resolution 45-24, recommended member to Ulster County Planning Board, whereas under Article 20 of the Town Law, the town board should designate all appointed officers and employees of the town, whereas Ulster County Charter Section C-49A and Section A7-5A of the Administrative Code define the process appointing regular and alternate members of the Ulster County Planning Board. Therefore, be it resolved that Chandra Valiente is appointed member of the Ulster County Planning Board, and be it further resolved that Vivian Welton is appointed alternate member to the Ulster County Planning Board, and move its adoption.
Second.
Board Member Drake?
Yes.
Board Member Nysel?
Yes.
Board Member Steen?
Yes.
Board Member Van Barcom?
Yes.
Supervisor DeScalani?
Yes. Resolution 4624, resolution to post notice of public hearing, amendments to the Pine Hill Water District regulations. Whereas the Shandaken Town Board proposed amendment to Pine Hill Water District PHWD regulations and Section 8, billing and payment. The only one to change is 8.4, semi-annual billing. Water bills will be issued to owners on a semi-annual basis. Bills are payable upon receipt but may be paid without penalty if the payment is received by the PHWD within 30 days after the date of issuance, as noted on the bill. If payment is not received within 30-day period, a late charge of 10% will be assessed. The district will include all charges for repairs and other services rendered pursuant to this rule as part of the billings at its discretion. The PHWD may include such charges in the semi-annual billings or may bill the charges separately at any time after the service is rendered. Therefore, be it resolved, the town of Shandaken schedules a public hearing to amend the Pine Hill Water District regulations on Section 8.4 and our next meeting date is March 4th, so let's call it 6:30 on March 4th. Move its adoption.
Second.
Board Member Drake?
Yes.
Board Member Nysel?
Yes.
Board Member Steen?
Yes.
Board Member Van Barcom?
Yes.
Supervisor DeScalani?
Yes.
Resolution 47-24, resolution authorizing waiver of 30-day notification required by the New York State Liquor Authority. Whereas City Girl Country Girl LLC, DBA Bettina Cafe and Market, 49 Main Street, Phoenicia, New York 12464, has applied for a liquor license. And whereas City Girl Country Girl LLC has requested that the town waive the 30-day notification required by the New York State Liquor Authority in an effort to expedite the granting of a liquor license to City Girl Country Girl LLC. And now, therefore, be it resolved, the town board of the town of Shandaken does hereby grant the request and does hereby waive the 30-day liquor license notice requirement to City Girl Country Girl LLC, DBA Bettina Cafe and Market, 49 Main Street, Phoenicia, New York 12464, and move its adoption.
Second.
Board Member Drake?
Yes.
Board Member Nysel? Board
Yes.
Member Steen?
Yes.
Board Member Van Barcom?
Yes.
Supervisor DeScalani?
Yes.
Resolution number 48-24, resolution to post notice of public hearing, amendment to the STR law. Whereas the Shandaken Town Board proposed amendment to the STR law, Section 4, license requirements. We're just going to do the new. I'll just read it. Current, 3, shall not be transferred or assigned by the owner listed on the application form, shall not be conveyed with the sale or transfer of the property. New, 3, may not be transferred or assigned by the owner or owners listed on the application form and may not be transferred or assigned upon the lease, sale, or conveyance of the real property, except in the event that the individuals who secured the STR license lease, sell, or convey title to said real property to a limited liability company, corporation, trust, or a business entity which is wholly and exclusively owned by the individuals to whom the license was granted. Number 4, shall terminate notwithstanding there being no conveyance of the title to the real property when the STR license holder is a limited liability company, corporation, trust, or business entity, and it transfers, sells, or assigns 50% or more interest in said limited liability company, corporation, trust, or business entity to other persons, or to a limited liability company, corporation, trust, or business entity. Therefore, be it resolved, the town of Shandaken schedules a public hearing to amend the STR law, section D3 on, that's the same date, right?
We'll do the same day, the 5th of...
March 4th?
4th of March, at 6 o'clock.
6 or 6 later or before? 6? That works?
What time? 6?
6.
6
6.
o'clock.
And move its adoption.
Second.
Board Member Drake?
Yes.
Board Member Nysel?
Yes.
Board Member Steen?
Yes.
Board Member Blarkum?
Yes.
Supervisor DeScalani?
Yes.
Resolution 4924, Deputy Building Inspector. Whereas under Section 20 of the town law, the town board should designate all appointed officers and employees of the town, and whereas a vacancy developed in the building department, therefore be it resolved that Alan Harmon is appointed Deputy Building Inspector / Code Enforcement Officer and Fire Safety Officer, paid $25 per hour, not to exceed $32,000 a year, and move its adoption.
Second.
Board Member Drake?
Yes.
Board Member Nysel?
Yes.
Board Member Steen?
Yes.
Board Member Van Blarkum?
Yes.
Supervisor DeScalani?
Yes.
Resolution number 50-24, Ulster County Pine Hill Fire Department Mutual Aid Agreement. Whereas the town of Shandaken approves participation by the Pine Hill Fire Department in the Ulster County Fire Mutual Aid Plan as amended from time to time, and further certifies Ulster County through its Deputy Director of Emergency Services Fire Coordinator that shall comply with the provisions of the plan, and be it further resolved that there are no resolutions in effect that restrict outside service and training by the named fire agency, and be it further resolved that there are currently no limitations, conditions, or restrictions on the fire agency from providing prompt assistance, and the Deputy Director of Emergency Services Fire Coordinator shall be notified in writing if any such limitations are imposed subsequent to the adoption of this resolution, and be it further resolved that the named fire agency shall respond to all calls for assistance from another fire agency through the Ulster County Communications Center, also known as the UC 911. And be it further resolved that the town of Shandaken hereby acknowledges and accepts its financial responsibility pursuant to applicable law, and be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution shall be filed with the Ulster County Department of Emergency Services, and move its adoption.
Second.
Board Member Drake?
Yes.
Board Member Nysel?
Yes.
Board Member Steen?
Yes.
Board Member Van Blarkum?
Yes.
Supervisor DeScalani?
Yes. I make the motion to table 51.
Second.
All in favor? Yeah, make a motion, we go into executive session?
You don't want to wait for the executive session? It's so weird.
Sure.
Jan, did you have something to say?
Share, please share.
I'm Jan Jaffe from Pine Hill, and I'm the PH2, which is a group of people around Shandaken who are really active in different projects and want to show a little love to the town, meet about every 6 weeks, and we'll be meeting in Phoenicia at the Methodist Church on February 27th at 5 o'clock. It's potluck. We are going to socialize for a half an hour, and then we have an hour-and-a-half meeting where we exchange ideas, we help each other with grants, we brainstorm, figure out bottlenecks, and all are welcome. So that was one thing I wanted to say. I hope you come. And the other thing is a visual. Can you come up here? Can you see this? This is the Mill Street Bridge on Bonneview, and it's where the circle is was a little hole in the bridge from probably a car that hit it a couple years ago, and the hole has just gotten bigger and bigger. And I tried to take a picture today of how the bridge is starting to slope into the stream. It's a historic bridge. It's very beautiful. I'm sure at some time the conduit's going to have to be built out and it'll be completely rebuilt. But in the meantime, I wondered whether the town board and the highway department could do something so that this little hole doesn't get any bigger and half of the bridge falls into the creek. Thank you.
Thank you.
something could be done about this?
Eric?
Eric? I'm going to give Eric the picture. I've emailed the picture at various times to the highway department, and I know these things are complicated, but it would be just criminal. And I'm sure there's so many talented people in the highway department who could just take a few of these pieces that are now fallen over and put them back in. Thank you. Mill Street,
Mark?
Yeah, I can give a partial answer to that. I'm also on the grant board for the Ashokan Watershed's Tree Management Program, and they just awarded, I can't remember what the figure is, but they just awarded a sizable grant to repair that whole section of Bonneview Street and the bridge and the wall from the Ashokan Watershed's Tree Management Program. No, that bridge. The next bridge is it's a different bridge? Oh, okay. Never mind.
It was good news anyway.
Yeah.
Can you trade bridges?
Who shows up? No, this is the one. This is the one.
The microphone's mine. Thank you. I'm Kerry Henderson from the Shandaken Home Sharing Association. We are a group of long-term residents who have been very involved right from the beginning and collaborating to make a great SDR law. Yeah, I'll try and be real quick. Look, that was music to our ears, hearing that you're discussing a moratorium in the public meeting. That was totally music to our ears. Several years ago, Supervisor Stanley warned us all that the investors were coming. I personally didn't believe it, nor did most of my fellow hosts. His premonition was right. The market now is absolutely saturated by new investor units and local hosts. Most of us who rely either in part or fully on Airbnb income to live here are struggling to make ends meet, and at the same time, there is zero housing for locals. One investor group has 14 listings in town, including a 6-unit apartment building they've called The Bend on Route 214. The Bend investors have robbed the town of much-needed workforce housing and are already impacting our bookings negatively. These guys contribute nothing to our local community. The vultures sucking the lifeblood out of all we hold dear here. Local hosts are mum and pop enterprises, and we largely rely on our Airbnb earnings to continue to live here and pay our bills. The investor groups are highly funded and can afford to lowball prices until true locals, like our group, are squeezed out of the market. The town board has the power to immediately stop the proliferation of investors by stopping issuing new licenses and over time reducing the number of STRs by attrition. There are several other multi-family buildings, and this is really important, on the market right now, including a 5-unit apartment building in Chichester. You can stop the investors from taking these over as STRs by adopting a simple resolution as allowed by law to reduce the cap. At the point I wrote this, I hadn't heard you were considering the moratorium. We recommend reducing non-resident cap to 75 from 150 by attrition, and to stop outside investor groups posing as locals, as several do, and opening unlimited STRs. We recommend a cap on local licenses too. However, there should be no cap for owner-occupied dwellings to allow true locals to STR their homes in times of need. Balancing our community's housing needs of local mum and pop hosts, and quality of life for all, these reduced numbers bring us to under 5% of housing units used as STRs. We don't have an exact percentage because in the next couple of days we're going to be getting some more accurate stats from the town about on resident licenses. It's tough living here. Good paying jobs are few, and the average household income is only around 55,000 according to the last census. Oversupply on the STR market caused by marauding investors is severely affecting our mum and pop businesses and housing stock, and it's only going to get worse if there's no change. No pointing fingers, no one's at fault here since no one could have foreseen this happening at the time of drafting the original law, but the board has the power to at least stop the steal right now through a simple resolution requiring no public hearing or law change in lowering the caps. Oh, and one more thing, this is for a future discussion, but there should be a limit on the number of units on any one license. Under the present law, this is unlimited. The fact that an investor such as The Bend on 214 can have 6 units on one license is completely unacceptable to us. This loophole in the law is a travesty and needs to be closed. AirDNA, which is, as you know, is an online service which grades municipalities on how they deal with STR issues, one being attractiveness to investors, Shandaken was awarded an A. We'd like to see us drop to a D. The Shandaken Home Association has written a letter to the board, which you all have by email and hard copy, with more formal expansion on what I just outlined. And I would warmly welcome your response and insights. It seems we're working together here, and with the housing folk too. We have several other ideas, and we would love to get together with the board as soon as possible in a workshop meeting to discuss. Thanks so much for your time.
I think we all share your sentiment, and we did 2 years ago when we crafted the law, and we were trying to make it a little tighter, but a lot of residents pushed against that.
Oh, absolutely. And you said at the time, look, we'll give it some time and then we'll revisit it.
Exactly.
Which is exactly.
So when we find out how we legally put in a moratorium, we can also put the moratorium for like 3 to 6 months, and we can craft the law around and not take any, of course, we're not taking new non-resident licenses right now because it's at the cap. But if that cap comes down, we can make the cap lower. But like you said, by attrition.
Yeah, and we have some ideas in more detail in the letter.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's doing my head in, actually, at the moment. It's such a complex thing.
Exactly.
Just to see how crafty people are and what can they do.
Well, and that was
how do we
always,
stop it without hurting everyone else?
that was always the, when we were crafting the law 2 years ago, we talked about doing only one license per unit.
Exactly.
And only people could have X amount of licenses. But we also talked about the problem with trying to police that and how many people start LLC A, LLC B, LLC 3. And it's all still under their same name, just a different LLC. And so we're trying to rein it all in.
We really feel that, and
Absolutely.
we thank you for your efforts. We just want to work, we feel like we are working together.
Absolutely, absolutely.
We all share similar goals.
But as you noticed, if you've been driving around the last month or two, there's a lot less people on the roads. There's a lot less people up here. There's, the economy is a little slow right now. That's part of it also, because a time like this last year or a year ago at this very time, we weren't this struggling. It wasn't this scarce business. But it's been a slow year.
3.5 years ago, when the committee was meeting every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
It wasn't really the local people that wanted all of these zoo or quantities of SDRs.
Yeah.
It was basically because they were unorganized. The organization was the home share people, and they were well organized, and that's why this law got to be where it was. And the argument was is that it's your property, you have a right to do what you want with it.
Yeah, that is the thing. And whether you're a resident or not a resident, whether you're a resident or a non-resident, you have property rights. So we have to take this one step at a time and take it legally so that we're on the right path.
I do agree with you.
Yeah, totally, absolutely. I don't think anybody's in opposition to it.
Yes, Vivian?
So, I mean, we do want to have a meeting with the board at some time early enough to actually get the wording finalized so that it can be voted on at a regular meeting. Do you have any suggestions? I know that there was another special meeting set up, but that sounds like you already have an agenda for that.
Well, when's our next special meeting set up for the 6th? 6 o'clock on the 12th?
On the 12th.
Which is right before
Comp plan.
comp plan meeting and,
Not enough time to have that one.
What about right before the housing meeting on the fourth Monday, 6 o'clock?
sure,
6 o'clock on the 26th?
6 o'clock on the 26th.
But wait, you want to have this for the next meeting?
Oh,
So
we want to
that's-
have it in time to
That's not going to be enough time,
19th?
the wording.
Only so many days
You
in a
have to
week.
do it on
19th.
Tuesday. Tuesday it's free.
19th is President's Day.
Oh, right.
19th is President's Day.
19th is President's Day as well.
Shan, do you know how many bids have been received on that Pine Hill?
The last time I checked, there were two. It's not gonna take long, and we're gonna make a recommendation.
The 21st is a planning,
21st is ZBA.
ZBA? No. ZBA? Yeah. You want to do it before a ZBA meeting?
That meeting starts at 6:30. They have public hearing.
Well, so,
We have two public hearings. Starts at 6:30 and then they have one 6:45. The regular meeting is
Okay. What about an afternoon meeting? I know Kevin can't make it, but some of us can make it, maybe?
potentially, or it sounds like the meeting on the 12th, if they're gonna have a recommendation between potentially two bids.
It might be a quick meeting.
And then
Quick
the other
vote.
thing that we potentially have is a resolution around planning, but we might at least be able to begin the conversation at that meeting.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, we'll have 30 minutes at least, so.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Do it, add it to the meeting on the 12th.
Yep,
And if we need to, we can schedule additionally then.
okay. Good idea. Okay, I'm gonna make a motion, we close the regular meeting and we, no more.
So I wanted to just remind everyone, thank you for making mention of the farmer's market, Sundays 11 to 2. Now, that if you've heard, there's something called a Bel Air Express bus, and it connects from Kingston up to the mountain and back. I believe it's Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So we have Sunday public transportation available that you can utilize along 28 to get from Pine Hill to Phoenicia and back, maybe for the farmer's market, maybe. But we do have residents, and I, along with others in town, including Colleen at the community center, the executive director, once that schedule was released, there was no mention of Pine Hill on this schedule, and I emailed you, Peter, as well. So we jumped into action, we drafted an email, we contacted as many people as we could think of.
Made
who
some
would-
noise.
We did, and by the end of the week, Pine Hill was on the schedule. So we advocated that, first of all, a ski mountain express bus without Pine Hill is just ludicrous, being such a
Rude.
ski town. But, you know, I'm trying to also help highlight to a service like UCAT the efficiencies of meeting both local and tourist needs with the same resources. So if they're gonna create a whole new bus line just for skiers, that they can't leave the local population without an equally reliable option, let's say. And so it's part of a whole narrative that we're trying to help highlight, that it's also for medical accessibility, for people to get to and from work. So it's an issue of access all around. But we're happy that on Sundays you can get to and from the farmer's market if you do not drive your own vehicle. We'll also have some resources starting this weekend from the Margaretville Hospital Community Health Outreach. So it's everything from mental health services, or what they're calling paramedical community resources. there's going to be a whole slew of things that they're going to help share, but that's like free community outreach that you can get at the farmer's market that's coming from the Margaretville Hospital. And then just a reminder, we accept SNAP and EBT benefits, and we provide Fresh Connect checks to match dollar for dollar up to $50 to spend at the market. So thank you.
Okay. Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Make a motion, we go into executive session? Yeah. And